Very good evening, everyone. Here we are. Um, Today, the Department of Physics, Assam University, Silchar, as a part of its 25th year celebration, has organized a public talk on social media, bane or a boon. So, with us today, we have Dr. Usha Bastare. Madam Bastare is a neuroscientist. She was a clinical neuroscientist, and right now she is associated. She has devoted her life for the social cause, and she has a uh, I mean, she is the main person behind Jugokema Trust in Bangalore, and she is nowadays mainly involved with dealing with young people and also the not only young people, uh, all strata, how to manage the mind, how you can train up your mind to manage your life, these things. So we are very happy to have her here today, and I would like to request Professor Indrajit Sharma, head of the Department of Physics, Assam University, Silchar, to please start today's program with a few lines.
Thank you, Professor Atidishamutia. Thank you so much. At the outset, I congratulate research scholars, Department of Physics, for organizing this evening program, Public Talk, Social Media, Ban or a Boon. Department of Physics is enough fortunate to have today's speaker, Dr. Usha Madam. Department of Physics welcome you, Madam. Dr. Usha Bhattare is a great teacher, social worker. As mentioned by Professor Atri, she is a neuroscientist. Dr. Usha Madam is one of the founder of the organization called Yoga Kema. Started his journey from around 2007 with the vision improve the quality of life of people and help them make lifestyle changes. One can see closely the album of Yoga Kema, a beautiful words we can see pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. We cannot avoid the pains come to us, but we can help extend our hands to the people to reduce their sufferings. We pray to Almighty for your long service to humanity, Madam Musa. Once again, Department of Physics welcomes you, Madam. Thanks for giving this evening public talk. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam. Over to Professor Atri. Thank you, Madam.
Welcome, Usha. Your microphone is in mute condition. Please unmute it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. So welcome. The stage is all yours, and I could see not very good number of participants, but I'm expecting more. Let them join, but we can by the time we can start, ma'am.
Sure. Before I start, I request another faculty of Yoga Kshema. He's going to be conducting a survey. So I present to you Vasant Jaju, who is a faculty and director of Yoga Kshema, an engineer turned into a yoga therapist. So over to you, Vasant.
Thank you, Dr. Usha. Yeah, so before we start with today's topic, and I hand it over to Dr. Usha, the topic on social media, boon or bane, we'd like to capture some relevant demographic data and a very quick thought experiment and your responses to that. For that, I hope you can have your a phone or any device handy with you, because you will need to open a browser window and then respond to those questions. So for that, let me try and share my screen so that you get the question. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I would request all of you to go to www.menti.com and use the code 46 10570 and respond to this question to get an idea about the various age group that are there today as audience. So you can use your phone or open a browser window on any other device. Go to menti.com and use the specific code. As we can see, about 7-8 answers have come up. We'll wait for a while to get as many answers as possible, maybe another 15 seconds. Those who have submitted their response, I guess, can also see the result. Okay, that gives us a pretty good idea about the ratio. Almost about 75 to 80% are in the age bracket of 15 to 30 years. Primarily, I guess, the student bracket. I'd like to move on to the next question. Please keep your browser window on. Would like you to tick on the various social media applications that you use. It's again a multiple choice question, and you can select more than one answer over here. Just tick over the various. If you think any of the app is not mentioned over here, you can use the others option. But you can submit the response only once, but you can select as many apps as you use. Great, I think this time it has been quick. I'd like to go to the third and last one, which is directly with regards to topic. What do you think about social media? Do you think it's a boon for the current era, or is it a bane, or is it both a boon and bane, or is it neither boon nor a bane? Very interesting responses, and I think that's a very good input for Dr. Usha as she goes through her talk. So with that, I would like to end this poll and would like to request Dr. Usha to continue with the talk.
Thank you, Vasant. I would like to share my screen. So I go into present entire screen, is it? Can you help me, Vasan? Or
Yeah,
Ravinda?
you could
You
do
have to
present
and then
a
present
window.
the. Yeah, sure. Sure, please carry
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, you could present a window and then present the PowerPoint slides that you have.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm trying. Let's see. Oh, there. All right. You can, you can all see, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, those answers were interesting and close to 100%. 97% of you said that social media is both a bane and a boon. Yeah, let us see if after this talk, can you all say it is a boon? Not just say, and from now on, can we convert that part of social media being a bane into boon? Because this is what most of the leaders and all the successful people have figured out a way to make social media or to use social media as a boon for themselves, for the benefit of themselves, and for the benefit of others. So I certainly hope that is what is going to happen for all of you at the end of this talk. And I am not going to go into any of the ill effects of social media. Just a month back, that aspect has been covered, and there is a YouTube link that you can go to under the name of Janothana Trust. And then you will be able to see how social media affects the over-engagement of social media, and social media becoming an addiction would affect people. So today I'm going to cover a totally different angle, and then we will see how in this era of knowledge, we are all well into this era of knowledge, but its full effect has not hit us yet. We all need, we as in professors and students, doctors and patients, parents and children, we all need new lenses and a new way of thinking to fully take benefit of this era of knowledge. In this era, there is innumerable and a cornucopia of choices, be it may with respect to the foods that we eat, clothes that we wear, careers to choose from, or the YouTube or TikTok videos to pick from, and all the different apps and entertainment to choose from. There are way too many choices. And one can keep oneself busy on social media, whether mindfully to our advantage or mindlessly to our detriment. When it comes to the choices in social media, it's almost like a kid in a candy store, looking at all those choices and liking everything. But with limited resource that kid has, it has to pick and choose only certain of those candies and not be able to choose. It is like that. especially with respect to choices in social media. And having to make choices has become the most important influence in our personal and professional lives. And these choices have transformed how we live, how we think, and also who we are. And such multiplicity of choices has increased our processing power, which we non-consciously substitute this for our thinking, for our critical thinking, for our thinking in an objective way. Easy access to data on social media leads to being intellectually lazy. And as a result, both judgment and action have become scarce resources. All of this leads to what is called analysis paralysis. In other words, over choice. When we have too many options and choices to pick from, it becomes really difficult to make a decision. And it affects at a cognitive level. And this is what is called over choice. We have so many choices. We want to listen to this music. We want to watch certain sports. We want to go through all our social media messages and various different groups that we belong to so that we can keep on top of things. And we want to do it all. But we are realizing we can't do it all. We have subscribed to so many different channels, hoping and thinking that we would be able to go through all of it because all of this is what you like. But many of us have realized that it is impossible to do it all. Here comes the cartoon of Calvin and Hobbes, which is a really nice cartoon that says it all. Many a times we want to do nothing because we are so much overloaded with information. We just want to be quiet and do nothing, but we don't get time. Or even if we get time, because of fear of missing out, we go on to checking our messages. This choice overload is not always a problem. As I said earlier, many of the leaders and truly successful people have figured out a way how to use these choices for their benefit and for the benefit of others. However, this choice overload does become a problem under two conditions. One is that there is no clear prior preference for any item or any category that we are looking for, either on the net or on the YouTube, whatever it may be, because we really don't have preference because we are still trying to figure out. And each day we try to figure out, there are so many more choices, it becomes hard to prefer one over the other many a times. Not only that, and there is no clear dominant choice that we have, because all the choices that we see are so good that there is no difference between one and the other. Many a times this depicts how we go about in our lives. They say we really need to know what we want in our lives. If we have clear goal, then we know where to go. Sometimes even if we take a detour, we know how to come back on track. However, if we do not have clear goals, then the results are also going to be vague. That is what has become with social media, and this is what is causing everybody a problem until they figure out how to tackle this problem. So because of this choice overload, there are many psychological implications, like I'm going to take cognitive dissonance, the main effect and the implication of choice overload. This cognitive dissonance is nothing but when a person holds many different contradictory beliefs, contradictory values. What I mean by is, for example, we know that smoking is injurious to health, but yet people smoke. They know the value of not smoking, but yet they cannot because they have gotten into that habit. This is what causes dissonance. Just like we know, being on social media for so much, we are not able to cope up with our learning, be proactive in our learning. Or with adults who are not students, could be faculty, we know we want to be spending more time with friends and family or with our children. But this is so enticing because the way they make the ads, the way they make the videos, the way they make the ads are so enticing. It is hard not to get involved. So it is going against our values and beliefs. And this dissonance, this cognitive dissonance, is what truly hurts us. And further to this, what are the other implications of this cognitive dissonance? Because we know what we should not be doing, but we are still doing. We are shameful of it. We feel embarrassed. We don't want to tell others. And this causes anxiety many a times. And after having spent so much time on social media, we regret it. And we feel sad that we have not done what we were supposed to do. And all of this put together is what truly causes stress, both in short term and in the long term. All of this leads to defending our actions or blaming on the circumstances. I see both defending and blaming are truly not good for us, because whenever we get into the blaming game, or whenever we defend ourselves for the actions that we know we should not be doing, that we know that is not good for us, we will never ever learn from that experience. Whenever we defend an action, whenever we blame an action that we are doing, we will never ever learn from that experience. Really important to think about. So where is this leading? When you look at this picture, is one answer right than the other? Absolutely not, right? If you look at it from one angle, it looks like 6, of course. And when you look at it from the other angle, of course it looks like 9. In a similar way, from professor's point of view, from teacher's point of view, from parents' point of view, this social media is becoming truly a bane, or over engagement into social media. But when we do it for ourselves, it feels like, oh, we need to do, otherwise we're going to miss out, and then we're learning so much. So both the answers are correct. Then how? How do we reconcile this? And not only this, one of the toughest things with social media engagement is, it is somewhat very similar to COVID. What I mean by that is, everybody, both doctors and the public, learned what to do during these COVID days. None of us knew what needed to be done because it was so new. Nobody had prior experience. So only for a couple of decades this social media has come about. So both parents and children alike, professors and students alike, each and every one of us, we are learning about the benefits and ill effects of social media, and learning how not to be overly engaged into social media, and definitely not get into addictions. This is what has made it really hard. So what is my role then? What is my role here as a neuroscientist? Definitely not to preach, definitely not to give advice what is good, what is wrong, but to bring you an awareness, self-awareness, the importance of self-awareness, so that you will be able to figure out when you are engaging in social media to such an extent it is affecting the quality of life, it is affecting the life as a student, it is affecting my learning, or if I'm a professor, it is affecting my teaching ability, or if I'm a parent, it is affecting my parent ability, because I'm over engaging in social media. And to bring that discriminative intelligence, and to be able to choose wisely, and also to know, even though we know all of this, still it is difficult, and to say that, to know why it is. So whether we like it or not, social media is here to stay, and it is becoming, and it has become an inevitable part of everybody's life, irrespective of what age. So my future, your future, and our future really matters, because it depends on how we engage through this social media. Do we make this as a treat and use it to the fullest advantage for the benefit of us and for the benefit of others? Or we fall into this trap and get caught in it and not be able to know how to get out of it? That choice is ours. We have the choice to make this as a boon and not as a bane. And that is what we're going to learn in the next 20 minutes or so. How can we make this social media as a boon and not as a bane, and not get into that trap? Even though we know all of this, but something prevents us to choose wisely and to make this as a boon. That is why majority, 97% of the people said that it is both a boon and a bane. Even though we know we cannot come out of it. So what is it? What is it that is preventing us to choose wisely and to make this social media as a boon and not a bane? This is where science comes to the rescue. I say science comes to the rescue because science is all about commonality. Irrespective of somebody is a professor or a student, somebody is a doctor or a patient, a parent or a child, without any exception, whatever I'm going to share is going to hold good for each and every one of us without any exception. That is that commonality of science. And not only science is about commonality, but it is also about reproducibility. If we go through this next 20 minutes in a way and put that into practice every day of our lives, then we can, each and every one of us can make the social media as a boon and not as a bane. So that reproducibility, if we do exactly what has been said, just like in a formula, we will get the same results. So what is this? What is it that is preventing us to choose wisely, to be able to have the discriminative knowledge, to be able to know enough is enough. Now I want to stop this and pay attention to my studying. What is it? And science says, again, irrespective of whether one is a teacher or a student, an elderly person, retired person, or a teenager, or a doctor or a patient, president, or a farmer, it doesn't matter. Each and every one of us has this negativity bias. Bias is another word for partiality. What is this negativity bias? This negativity bias, when we look at our negative thoughts, we look at our negative experiences, we look at the negative memories that we have, negative perceptions, negative belief systems that we have. And all these negative thoughts and experiences, they stick to us like Velcro into our brain and mind. Whereas for something that is positive, be it a positive thought or a positive memory, positive feelings, positive perception, positive experience, the same brain and mind acts like Teflon. We all know Teflon is that coating that one has on a pan that we use in the kitchen, that anybody can make a really nice dosa without getting it stuck on the pan. It is that non-stick material called Teflon. So when we have this negativity bias or partiality towards negativity, and mind you, this is very important because this has evolutionary biological significance, and this really helps us to come out of danger, and it helps us to survive in any kind of dangerous situation. So having this negativity bias is very important, but the same negativity bias is what is preventing us to make objective choices, to make proper choices and the right choices at the right time, not just with respect to social media, with respect to anything in our lives. So let us go a little bit deeper into this and understand. And when we have this negativity bias, it is like wearing colored glasses. When we are wearing colored glasses, depending on what colored glass that we are wearing, the rest of the world looks like as though it is colored. In a similar manner, when we have a lot of negativity within us, we look at the outside world also with negative lens for that matter. So because of this negativity bias, and when it goes unnoticed and unchecked, we get accumulation of these negative thoughts, which are automatic, spontaneous, and automatic negative thoughts. And we don't have to do anything. We don't have to put any effort. These negative thoughts happen in an automatic manner. So as you can see, the acronym ANTS, just like what you see in the picture, these automatic negative thoughts, the nature of these automatic negative thoughts or the functioning of these automatic negative thoughts are very similar to the ants that we see in nature. We hardly see a stray ant, right? They usually come in groups whenever we go out for picnic, or we see in the houses, we see one ant behind the other walking in a straight line. So they always come in groups in a similar manner. Our automatic negative thoughts also come one after another after another. So when these automatic negative thoughts go unchecked and unnoticed, they affect our work, they affect our learning, they affect our relationships, they affect our health, and they affect our entire life itself. So again, when these ants, automatic negative thoughts, become unnoticed and unchecked, they become thought habits, negative thought habits. When we have too many of them, we go back and forth between our past and future, just like a pendulum. When our mind goes to the past, and when we have too many of these automatic negative thoughts, too many ants in our mind, we look at past with regret. Whereas the future will be looked at with anxiety and pessimism. And whatever is happening in the present moment is kind of unsatisfactory for us. For everything else, then it is really hard for us to be staying in the present moment, satisfied and being non-judgmental. Because of these ants, if we are in the present moment, it prevents us to be satisfied. So it is really hard to be in the present moment because of these ants. It is difficult to be in the here and now and here, except with social media. This is one aspect wherein it is very different with respect to our negativity bias and the automatic negative thoughts we have. We will be focusing on whatever we are doing on the social media. So we are very much in the now. But many a times, most of the times, it becomes a mindless activity. This is what we need to watch for. So, because of this, what happens? How can we stay in the present moment in a mindful way? That is what we are going to look at now. But before that, we're going to know a little bit more about what are the things we say to ourselves when we are doing over engagement of this social media, and when we have too much of these negative thoughts. It is about fear of missing out. We give this as a reason, so we want to be engaged in social media. And then we say to ourselves, if I don't belong to this group, then I cannot fit in. And Very soon that one group becomes many because we are constantly engaging in one group or other to fit in. And we clearly say, oh, I'm like this because of the circumstances. What is it that I can do? Our Generation Z, this is the way it is. We need to accept there is nothing else we can do. If I don't this, I will be like a nerd. And if I don't engage with many of these groups and not know what is happening in my friend's life, I feel sad and depressed. Or if I don't share what is happening in my life, then I am not happy. And I'm so bored, and especially during this COVID days, we know how the last several months, how tough it was for everybody. So when we're so bored, nothing else to do, so we engage in social media in a mindless manner. And we don't have any other hobby. We don't have other things because this is the main thing. This has become our life and it has engulfed us. And these are the reasons we are giving, but actually these are the excuses. So because of this, what are the consequences we face? We cannot change easily. We know we have tried to give up this social media over engagement, but it is so hard. We cannot give this up easily. And we shun away from responsibilities. We, at the beginning of the year, we make New Year resolutions saying this, I'm going to be better than last year because I'm starting off fresh this year academically. So I'm going to be proactive. I'm not going to burn the candle at both ends just before the exam day. I'm going to be ready even before that. I am going to be on top. This is what we say, but we cannot do that because of too much of this negativity. And because of this, we cannot be proactive. We become very short-sighted. And we take a passive approach. We take the path of least resistance and take the passive approach. Whatever happens, let it happens. And we don't even try to learn new things except those few seconds or maximum of 3-minute videos on our social media. And we think we are learning from that. Unless something is forced upon us, like academics, it is hard to learn new things in a deeper manner, in a meaningful manner. Yes, we are learning many a times through social media, but it is so superficial many a times. Unless it is forced upon us, unless there is a reason to, we cannot go deep enough because of the way we deal with the social media. And we cannot see the big picture, and we don't want to see. So we cannot be what we want to be. But the thing is, there is no magic pill for this ants' automatic negative thoughts to go away. This is only through awareness can we overcome this negativity bias that we all have. So, going further into consequences, we cannot be as empathetic as we would like to be. Then we become so self-focused and become so selfish. And we know sometimes we need to help out either our spouses or our parents or our friends, but we become too self-focused and selfish. And because we're battling with over-engagement of this social media, we cannot be as happy as we would like to be. And all of this put together causes us frustration because we don't know how to overcome this negativity bias, because of which we are overly engaged in social media, either in ourselves or in others. This is one of the major causes of stress, both short term and long term or chronic stress. And what happens because of that? We lose the power to choose, because our discrimination power or the discriminative intelligence gets mitigated or reduced, and our willpower weakens with respect to everything else except being engaged with social media. Mind you, there we have lot of willpower to be using our social media, and we also lack self-awareness many a times because of this. All of these are nothing but the powers of our mind, the power to choose, nothing but free will, discerning power, our willpower, and our awareness, self-awareness. These are all the most important qualities of a human being. This is what makes us human. And this is what differentiates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. But yet, when it comes to social media, we lose our willpower not to be using, and we lose our discerning power. How much to use with the social media, and when to use, what not to be engaged, all of that discerning power is lost. And out of these, many of the automatic negative thoughts, there are many of them, there are different names. I'm not going to go into that, but we want to think about 2 or 3 major of these ants. They are the defending automatic negative thoughts, blaming automatic negative thoughts. As I said earlier, when we have too many of these blaming and defending automatic negative thoughts, we cannot learn from our experience. Really important for us to remember that. So because of this, what happens? We succumb to these automatic negative thoughts, and in such a way, these ants become a habit. And a technical term for that is it becomes hardwired into our brain, and they rule us. This negativity in us, or the automatic negative thoughts, rule us rather than our intelligence, our discriminative intelligence ruling the automatic negative thoughts. And lot of these excuses, as I said earlier, all those reasons what we say, which are truly excuses, they come in our mind. But make sure you don't believe them, because there is a saving grace here. Most of the automatic negative thoughts are false. So whenever we give those excuses, make sure, oh, this is an ant that I have. Then most of the ants are false. So I am not going to miss out on anything if I put away my phone for a while when I study. These are the thoughts that have to come up to be able to overcome the negative thoughts that we get. Because of this negative thoughts is what prevents us to use the social media in a judicious manner. And because of these automatic negative thoughts, it results in errors in thinking patterns, and which are called again biases. Because of these biases, some of the businesses, they take advantage of the weaknesses that people have. They take advantage of the biases that people have, and they get hooked. They get us hooked into their product. We need to be aware and to beware of those biases. So if we have those biases, it could be negativity bias or confirmation bias, which is also again a negativity bias, then we need to be self-aware of such negativity pattern of thinking or automatic negative thoughts or in general about biases. Then how do we think in an accurate manner or in a proper manner? There are certain principles, and then we will go into that, which is the first and foremost is to be truthful to ourselves, for ourselves, not because our parents say so, not because of our professors say so, but we need to be truthful to ourselves, for ourselves. That is the only way. And there are certain principles which I will go through, which is the very first thing is the Hebbian law, which is neurons that fire together actually wire together. The more we engage in social media and either listening to it, seeing and reading, we are engaging different parts of the brain. So different neurons from different parts of the brain, they wire together, and it becomes really hard to come out of that. And as I said earlier, don't believe all the excuses that you give yourself, because thoughts are real, but not all thoughts are true. And especially the automatic negative thoughts, most of those ants are false. But again, the saving grace here, if we learn how to change our thoughts in a particular way, we can actually change the.
Ma'am, please unmute. Ma'am, please unmute your microphone. Ma'am, you please go to this Google Meet window, and there you unmute yourself. Hello?
Oh, okay. Now let me share again. Okay. Are you able to see?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is my? Sorry about that. I'm not able to see this on the screen. Let's see what happened to the. Oh, there. No.
Keep your presentation open, and then go to present screen, and then click there. If it is not open, you will not see it.
Yeah, it's open. It is
then you
open.
go
I
to
can
present
see
now.
it.
Go to present now.
No,
and
but
go
I'm
to
not
the-
able to see the other screen.
No, if it
Oh,
is open,
sorry.
you will see it. If it is closed, it has to be open in your screen.
Yeah. I 1 second. Oh, there. I got it.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Now, can you see?
No.
I don't know what's happening now. I went into a different.
You clicked on present now and then
Yeah, it has some other window is popping up. I'm so sorry. Let me try.
Otherwise, I can try and share it.
Yeah, do you have it?
Yes, I
Can
have
you,
it.
because it happened the other day when I was presenting in Johannesburg. It has gone into OneDrive. I don't know why. I don't know how to come out of that. Can I stop sharing then?
Yeah.
PowerPoint not responding. Okay.
It has come.
That is from Vasant?
Yeah, from Basant.
Okay, great. I'm not able to see. Oh, there. Yes, I do. Thank you. Sorry for that mishap. No idea how this happens. Anyway, coming back, go further. Vasant, to change, go further and further. So how do those one back? By using these powers of our conscious mind, like willpower, free will, self-awareness, and discriminative intelligence, this is what, when we are using these a lot, this is how we uh, uh, we will be able to overcome this negativity bias or the automatic negative thoughts, and to be able to follow these accurate thinking principles. The next slide, Vasant. And coming back, is it possible, or the question arises in our mind, is it possible to break these ingrained habits that is within us, whether it's with respect to social media or any other habit, unwanted habit that we want to overcome? And again, science comes to the rescue, saying that the next slide shows that present Dalai Lama actually helped the neuroscientist in such a way to be able to do lot of research on the brain itself and on the mind, to be able to give answers to this, how we will be able to change our unwanted habits. By simply challenging the neuroscientist, he said, if you change your mind in a particular way, you will be able to change the very structure of the brain. Might be quizzical for you. Why do we need to change the brain? The only way to make any changes in our lives, any long lasting changes in our life, can only happen if we can actually change our brain. So without going into too much of the research details, the Western neuroscientists tested this hypothesis, saying that if we change our mind in a particular way, in a conscious, willful, effortful ways, then the brain structure itself will change. As it's shown in the next slide, in other words, if we change our mind, what is mind? It is our thoughts, it's our perception, it's our belief system, it's our memories, it's our feelings. So if we change our thoughts in a mindful, effortful, willful, conscious ways, then we can actually change the very structure of the brain. This whole process is called neuroplasticity. What is so important here is, go next slide. What is important here, as Swami Vivekananda says so succinctly 150 years back, if we don't learn to control our thoughts, we will never be able to learn how to control our behavior, our actions. And that is so apt, because just changing the mind, just changing our thoughts, our perception, our belief system is not going to be enough, but changing our experience. The next slide. The changing our behavior, changing our actions, changing our habits is what causes long lasting changes in our behavior. So all of this, one more and stop. And all of this happens by starting with just single thought, a single thought with the proper feeling, and putting that into action again and again and again over a period of time is what causes the very change in the structure of the brain. And as I said, that whole process is called neuroplasticity. And again, the saving grace is anybody at any age will be able to change the very structure of the brain. The next slide. Go to the next one, Vasant. Next one. So I'm going to give you some tips and then close it up. And if we have time, I have a short video that we can look at it later. So some of the tips for this is digital hygiene or digital detox or digital fasting. These are different terms. We have heard about digital hygiene, just like dental hygiene, just like physical hygiene, just like emotional hygiene, just like sleep hygiene. We need to have digital hygiene. In other words, digital dieting. We should be able to put our phones away, not be able to be engaged in the social media for a length of time. And just like we do fasting for our health benefits, we need to go fasting at least one day in a week, not be able to engage in social media, because these are the digital hygiene practices that achievers, super achievers, and leaders have used social media in a successful manner. Going forth, you can go further. And these tips you already know, but I have given a neuroscience perspective to that. Like getting a new hobby. This is what represents a growth mindset, learning something new so that it will help us to be focused in a different way. And use social media as a treat. Study for so many hours, get ready for that exam, or be ready for that next 4 classes, or after certain I hear there are many PhD candidates also in the faculty. Get certain experiments done or do certain reading, and later use social media as a treat for a certain length of time. And the others you kind of know, because turn off your notifications so that it would not distract. Limit your time so that use your willpower. Use your willpower not to use the social media, because you're now using your willpower to be using the social media for such an extent. It is not easy to be on social media for hours together. This is what I hear with youngsters. They can be on social media for hours together. So much of willpower is going there. Use the same willpower not to use it. And that is empowering. And delete apps that you don't use. And rather than being connected with your family and friends through social media, which is good during these COVID days, later on, make it a point to check in with your family and friends in person. Because again, this is what represents social intelligence, which is an important aspect and factor to be happier, is what the new neuroscience research tells us. The next slide. So there is a simple tool that I want to give you, which is nothing but mindfulness. And there are many ways of describing mindfulness, but I have taken one way of describing this mindfulness to you so that you can understand what this technique is, what this tool is all about. Each and every one of us, we have our own favorite things that we want to be doing. But we know we have to be doing other things too. Like if you're a student, you know you have to be studying for that exam next week. But we always want to be looking at certain other videos or be engaged in social media lot of much more time than we should be doing. So there is a clear distinction between what we have to do and what we want to be doing. Mindfulness is all about get rid of that distinction between what I have to do and what I want to do. Just do whatever you want to be doing at that time. If we are students, our main goal and purpose in life is to be a good student and to be learning the academic matters and to go deeper and to be a good student. So be a good student at that time. And if we are parents, and then being parenting and focusing on what we need to be doing as parents, or if we are at home taking care of the kids, just do that and not going back and forth taking care of the kids or cooking and also being on social media at the same time. We try to play multiple roles and juggle many hats, and that is again one of the things that would cause us stress. So just do it is the next one. So to get rid of that barrier between what we have to do and what we want to do. Just do whatever you want to be doing at that particular time. This is what mindful is all about. And use the social media mindfully and using our willpower to be using only at certain times is the way to make this social media a boon and not a bane. And then finally, this one saying that we all know, do the right thing each time and every time. And it is possible to be doing the right thing. We focus on doing things right. Yes, that is important. Equally or even more important than just doing things right is to be doing the right thing. Even if you just keep this as an affirmation, put this on your desk and keep looking at it. Do the right thing, especially with respect to social media. That is how you can make it as a boon. And finally, I want to close this talk with the statement of Swami Vivekananda. He says, you are the creator of your destiny. What you're doing today is what is going to reflect on what you're going to become in the future. So be truthful to yourself. You know when you are using the social media too much and how it is affecting your student life, how it is affecting your life as a faculty, how it is affecting the life of a parent. So be the neurosculptor of your own life and get rid of this negativity bias, just like a sculptor sculpts out whatever is not needed to form that sculpture. In a similar manner, get rid of all the negative thoughts and negative thought patterns and all the biases that you have, and be a neurosculptor of your own life by being truthful to yourself. And the last thing is, this is how you can make social media as a boon by being a neurosculptor of your own life, by being truthful to yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a nice discussion. May we take a few questions from you?
Certainly.
Yeah. So, participants, anyone want to put a question, you can unmute yourself and ask, or if you are not comfortable, you can write it in the chat box.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, actually one of my friend has a very bad habit of remembering his past. Some incident that has happened which makes him very anger, and he didn't used to sleep at night. And due to this, he used to think that he should do revenge. Huh?
Yeah.
And he has, after taking the revenge, he used to feel guilty.
Right. This is a
Hmm.
normal pattern. Yeah. The
Hmm.
way to go about such cases is, I always remember this and I always tell everybody, Gandhi and many others have quoted this: an eye for an eye, the whole world goes blind. If any time anybody gets
Muthu,
a revengeful thought, this is what we need to remember. Yes, everybody will have certain past memories that are hurtful memories. This is where we need to be able to forgive the person and forgive whatever happened at that time. This is the quality of a human being. Only human beings will be able to forgive others in an effortful, conscious, and willing manner. And this is where we actually evolve as human beings, if we can forgive others and be kind to others, those who are not as kind to us. This is what we call in Yogakshema. This is a way we evolve as human beings, especially when we forgive others. And only humans are able to forgive. That is what we need to remember. And again, our whole purpose of human life is to be evolving when we look at it in a scientific way. And when we look at it from a spiritual perspective, this is where we need to bring out that human nature more and more. To such an extent, it becomes a divine nature. And forgiving is a divine nature. And first it's a human nature, and it becomes a divine nature when it becomes even hard to forgive, but we do that. So if and when we understand the very purpose of our existence of human being is to be evolving, then each and every one of us will make an attempt and will succeed in forgiving either one person or many people or a circumstance or a situation, whatever it may be. Thanks for that question.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, actually, I have if someone bullying him, he used to get very angry. So I have suggested him that whenever someone is trying to tease you, do one thing: insult yourself in front of them. Then it will be okay. So does it really work, ma'am? It has worked many times in my case also.
Sure. Anything that works. But each one has to figure out sometimes for themselves. That's a,
Mm.
yeah.
And ma'am, does meditation, ma'am, really increase the amount of serotonin in brain?
Not just serotonin, there are so many more benefits with meditation. Absolutely. Yes, it does. But not once in a while, like a weekend athlete, not once in a while. It has to be done on a regular manner. The practice has to be done in a consistent manner, day after day after day. That is when truly structural changes happen in the brain. I didn't have time to show that video, but otherwise we would have seen that. We will share that video with your professor, and they can share it later with you all.
Ma'am, he actually he
Shweta,
actually, yes, ma'am.
yeah, you can. We would like to give chance to others to talk also. So you
Okay,
have
ma'am. Okay,
talked
sorry,
to
ma'am.
her for quite some time. You can discuss with her over mail also if you have some serious queries. Anyone else who wants to please discuss anything, any issue?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. This is Preeti here. Firstly, thank you for such a wonderful session. It was very insightful and meaningful. The question I had was, though you rightly said we need to train our brain, but at times there is a trigger which again gets you back to that negative mode. So, could you advise or suggest any tips how we can control or kind of keep these triggers at bay?
Sure. It's again a very good question, Preeti. That is the nature of mind. It's not like, yes, we will get rid of the negativity from tomorrow, or we will use certain tools for so many number of days or months, and then we will be we would have overcome negativity. It doesn't work that way. The first thing is to be aware of our own negative thoughts and negativity bias, or any kind of bias that we have. That is what is self-awareness. Once we are aware of it, then all we need to do, very simple but yet difficult, we just have to overcome by replacing it with another thought. It could be a neutral thought, it could be a positive thought, and after few minutes the same thought may come, or it will come, because that is the nature of mind, and we have to repeat this process. So keep doing it again and again and again, and we get into that habit, so that we can catch it right away, and we will be able to practice this again. What really helps to overcome negativity biases, or again that mindfulness technique, doing even as short as 10 minutes every day. Just be aware of your own breath, and the mind wanders. Each time the mind wanders, bring your mind back to your breath. Breath is that anchor, and breath acts like a bridge between our mind and body. So use this technique of mindful breathing for 10 minutes every day, doing it preferably at the same time and sitting in the same place. Over a period of time, when you keep doing this mindful breathing, you will be able to recollect any other time during day when you get these negative thoughts. Just by taking 3 deep breaths or single deep breath, you will be able to change that negative thought into either a positive one or a neutral one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Hello, ma'am. I have a
Yes.
query. Though the lecture and the discussions were very nice, I have one question. Uh, can we have some relationship between a growth of a person and the environment on where he is staying, like where he is growing, like that? So
I'm
suppose
not able to follow your question. Can you please?
the effects of the environment on where the individual is growing, like
Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. There are two ways how an individual grows per se. Two influences. One is the genes, and the other is environment. We call this as nature and nurture. So both our genes are responsible for whether it is our physical growth or our mental ability. Our genes are responsible, but it's not just entirely left to genes. Our environment, influence of the environment is equally responsible. So there is this dual influence of genes and the environment. So if we make lifestyle changes in a positive way, it will definitely help our growth, both physically, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. And again, if when we make lifestyle changes in a negative way, that will also affect our physical health, mental health, and spiritual health too. So both these influences play a role.
I think,
Excuse me.
yeah, sure, sure. I was just thinking of it.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I had one question. I consider sometime that this social media as an addiction, and also I see other person also addicted. Could you suggest something which will help me also to get rid, and also I could tell others that same method, but without telling them that you are an addict of an social media.
Yeah. As I mentioned, the digital hygiene. Start taking baby steps. That has much more effect than going cold, or we say cold turkey. It's an American expression. Or the technical term for that is info suicide, is what they say. That means not at all using any of the social media or even digital media. I'm not talking about that extreme, but take baby steps. One day in a week, do not use your phone at all, or do not go into social media. Even before that, stopping for one day, whenever you're studying, put that phone away from you in the next room. So it is not even distracting you. If we keep it in our pocket or next to us, even though we have turned off the notifications, we know at this time we are going to get these many messages. So we automatically, our hand goes to the cell phone, and especially if one is addicted or engaging in a unhealthy manner, let us say. So put that phone away whenever you are studying. That is first step. Start from 1 hour at a time. Put the phone away. Do not use the phone for 1 hour and study for 1 hour. Do something that brings you joy, that is meaningful. If you're a student studying, what else can bring more joy than studying, right? That kind of belief system one has to have. Then it makes it easier, because whatever you try, it has to be a joyous experience. So start putting away the phone for 1 hour, and then later for many hours at a time, and then later one day in a week. Slowly wean off. That has much more of a positive effect than going cold turkey. Treat yourself to, if you enjoy reading, go get a book. When you have done this over a period of time for 1 month, treat yourself to make yourself feel good that you are able to succeed in this. So whatever that you use, it has to bring joy, more joy than using the social media. So that is the trick. If you can get a hobby, go jogging, learn something new, take up another some art, learn some music if you're a music lover. So do something that will bring you more joy than be on the social media. That is the key.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Anyone else? Yeah, I think right now we don't have any question. Dilip, yes, you want to speak?
Ma'am, you are saying that we can train
Hello,
our.
Dilip, you want to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Ma'am, you are saying that we can train our brain at any age of our life, but neurological doctor says that we take 25 years of our life for set up our brain. Then is it really possible to train our mind after 25 years?
Yes, absolutely. Because whatever I have shared, this is all based on recent advances in neuroscience research. So there are tons of research articles, there are tons of books that are written. Change your brain, change your life. That is one of the title of the book. Change your mind, change your life. So everything is evidence-based recent advances in neuroscience research.
I also shared the
Lot of
video on
clinic,
neuroplasticity chat box.
yeah. See, clinicians many a times are not on top of research, especially in West when our medical research field is 10 years ahead of clinicians in West. And what is happening is most of whatever I have shared is all the research in the West, and it is highly specialized. And so many of the clinicians in India would not be aware, which I'm not surprised at all, Dilip, because 15 years back when I came to this country to do this work, many of the physicians were not aware of many of the aspects that I was talking about. Not even using what we call as a support group meeting as a therapeutic tool, they were not aware. Even now, there are so many of the clinicians are not aware of these things. I'm talking about beyond PhD material. And lot of clinicians in India, either their bachelor degree, MBBS, or they could be MD. Until and unless they are on top of the research field, but they will be great doctors. They don't need to know all of this to be good doctors. For if they are surgeons, if they are just to treat patients the way they treat by prescribing medicine, you don't need to know any of this. This is cutting edge research I'm talking about. The thing, it can change at any age. The precondition there is one has to be able to understand, comprehend, and be able to practice, because nobody else can do that. That is why this is so empowering, because I can give you a prescription of do this kind of mindfulness meditation for this much time for this many months, and this what will change in your brain. I can say that, but only if you do it, you will benefit. So it is not the prescription that is making you, it's your own experience. So that is what is empowering. That much belief one has to have, and that much understanding, comprehending, cognizing, if one can have and practice, it is absolutely possible to change our brain in this way. I'm not talking about in pathological conditions. For example, if somebody has a stroke, there are certain limitations depending on the case. And maybe you can also go and check out a book or on TED Talk. What is that? My stroke. By a scientist, a neuroanatomist, Jill Bolte Taylor is her name, who had stroke, and she overcame the effects of stroke by constant rehabilitation through neuroplasticity. The name of that talk or the book, what is that? Stroke. I forget, but the author is Jill Bolte Taylor, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor.
My stroke of insight.
Thank you. Yeah, my stroke of insight. And you will be able to, even under pathological conditions, because this is what doctors used to say, neurologists, for people who had stroke, try whatever you can. After 3 months, nothing can happen. You have to accept. This is where we are trying to bring awareness, how rehabilitation after a stroke has to be a lifelong process. Sometimes they won't be able to go back to their original ways, but lot of times with constant rehabilitation process, things can happen, or it can stay at the same level. There won't be much deterioration or less deterioration. So both under normal conditions and under pathological conditions, this is especially the concept of neuroplasticity has been put into practice both under pathological conditions in stroke patients and under normal situations like us. Dilip, if you go over those references, you'll be convinced.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat box. How anyone reduce his or her anger? Question put by Shravani Dash.
First is that awareness that I'm getting angry. 50% of that is done. But the next part is this, whichever way we know in olden days, they used to say count 10, right? Because what happens when we get angry? It is one part of the brain, what we call it as lower center, that gets activated. And that anger bursts happen. And when we get angry, our viveka or the discriminative intelligence goes out through the window. And that discriminative intelligence is coming from a different part of the brain called the higher center. Which is that center? The higher center is what makes us human. The part of the brain which is functions very similar to other animals, that part of the brain when gets activated, that anger happens. But we need to be activating the region of the brain that makes us human, which is the higher center of the brain, or the cortex, or the prefrontal cortex, is where we actually regulate that anger, can control that anger. And this intellectual understanding has to be there, and it won't just happen overnight. And every time it happens, remember this and keep saying, I'm going to stop. Or just focus on your breath. 3 breaths, deep breaths, and that is enough to reduce your anger right away. But when do those 3 breaths help? Very well, when we have practiced that mindfulness breathing, even minimum of 10 minutes, and it takes minimum of 21 days to see changes in the brain. But to have long lasting changes, we need to be at it again and again and again. That consistency, practice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah, Manorama, I could see okay. Okay. She writes, ma'am, I set my mind to control my anger, not to reply when there is no need to speak, and it works, but I am not able to maintain this for a long time. how I will be able to maintain it and make it permanent habit? Obviously through practice, what ma'am will say.
Yeah, and doing it again. Each time when it happens, do it again. Keep repeating. Because the mind, the lower mind, um, the function of the mind is such that, we actually compare the mind to a monkey mind. And from the monkey mind, we have to make it a mammal mind. Monkey is a mammal, but a human mind, wherein we need to have control over our emotions. That is when a monkey's mind becomes a human mind. And the way is to train our brain, to train our mind, to do it again and again. And there is a yardstick you can use. That's a quick one. And many a times, even though our anger might have reduced, because of our negativity bias, we focus only on the anger, when bout of anger the next time. So if you use this yardstick, it will help. It stands for FIR, another acronym. F stands for frequency, I stands for intensity, R stands for recovery time. Watch out for the frequency of your anger bursts. The frequency might reduce, or the intensity of the anger that would have reduced, or the recovery period. Maybe the frequency is the same, intensity is the same, but you're able to recover much faster than before. Go back to your pre-anger level, the mood. And sometimes as you keep practicing, all the three will get reduced. One of the common errors, again, for all of us, without any exception, because of our negativity bias, even though we have been practicing to control our anger, we would have controlled it many a times, but because of the biases that we have, we focus on the times that we lost our cool. So keep focusing on the times that you were able to control, and let that bring joy to you, so that you will be able to repeat. Because when we are joyous, that is what will help us to do it again and again. Whereas because of our innate negativity bias, we focus on the times that we lost our cool, and of course we won't feel good about it. So that cycle gets repeated. So just make a paradigm shift each time to keep focusing on something that is positive, and be aware of the negativity and either neglect or neutralize it. Again, good questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your patient answer. And if anyone else is not there, we would like to close for today at least. Um, anyone else who want to put a quick question? I think we have discussed like at least quite at length, and people has to really, sit back and think about the whole issue, and then it may be useful to come back again for another discussion with madam. And thank you, ma'am, so much from the on behalf of the Department of Physics. Actually, the scholars are organizing such a public talks, and this time actually I just introduced you to them. So it's nice that they're taking such initiatives of the department. For the department, this is a part of our, as I have already told, it's a part of our 25th year celebration. We are trying to have mix of physics and lifestyle talks, so alternate months. That is what we are trying. So if we have an exam, we drop that for that particular month. But in April, we'll have to, we will plan somewhere. We are planning to end this year long celebration. So I hope all will be there, part of that. And I thank you, ma'am, very much for agreeing so spontaneously to speak to our audience. And I also thank all the participants, because without them, to whom we speak, this is also important. And on behalf of the department, I would like to thank all. I'm not taking, I mean, name wise, and I also would like to thank Dr. Bashant, because he has participated. He has taken a important role also in this webinar, and I thank you all for being here. And formally, with the permission of the chair, Professor Sharma, are you there?
Yes, yes, madam, I'm here, and we can.
Mr. Bashant, you want to say something?
I'm fine. I'm also
Hello.
grateful that I got a chance to be with all of you on this talk.
Actually, I want to listen, Dazu, one more special talk for you. You are so cool. You are so clear, sir. I am very thankful to you, especially Basan Dazu. If you give some time, we will arrange one talk for you.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So cool, sir.
So
So cool.
it was a really nice experience. And thank you, ma'am, especially for being in touch, and so many discussions we had out of this connection. And anytime I think any participant wants to contact you over email, I think it will not be a problem for you. If they have some query or they want to discuss something with you over mail, you can take your own time to reply or not to reply as you decide.
Sure. So,
So, with the permission of the chair, I would like to stop here. The faculty members of different departments, scholars, students, everyone was here. So I would like to thank them all. Thank you, ma'am.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.